Ever wonder what fuels the rise of a diesel superstar beyond the roar of engines? Heavy D's story isn't just about monster trucks. It's about unexpected alliances, legal storms, and what lies behind the horsepower. Before the TV cameras, before the sponsorship deals, and long before the court cases, Dave Sparks was just a kid obsessed with making things bigger, faster, and louder than they were supposed to be. In his hometown of Salt Lake City, Utah, Heavy D wasn't known for playing it safe. He was known for showing up with machines that made people stop what they were doing and stare. While most teenagers were worried about keeping their first car running, Dave was figuring out how to rip his apart and put it back together in a way no one had seen before. It started small, fixing up old trucks for friends, experimenting with engines in his spare time, and chasing that perfect combination of raw power and style. But there was something different about Heavy D. He wasn't just a mechanic, he was a showman. Every project had to make a statement, and every build was a chance to outdo himself. Opportunities didn't exactly fall into his lap. He took on side jobs, scraped together cash for parts, and leaned on a stubborn streak that refused to settle for good enough. He started filming his builds, sharing clips on social media before viral was even a thing most mechanics cared about. The videos weren't polished, but they were authentic, and people loved them. By the time local truck meets started calling his name, Dave had already turned his garage into a kind of diesel laboratory. And while most people saw a pile of parts, Heavy D saw a future. Not just a business, but a brand. But turning heads in your own neighborhood is one thing. Making the whole country watch? That was going to take something bigger. When Heavy D crossed paths with Diesel Dave Kiley, it wasn't just two truck guys shaking hands. It was the start of a diesel-fueled partnership that would blow past anything they could have pulled off alone. Both had the same drive to push limits, the same eye for over-the-top builds, and the same itch to make an impact beyond their garages. What started as swapping ideas and helping each other on projects quickly became something bigger. Diesel Brothers. The name wasn't just clever branding, it was a statement. This was a crew that lived and breathed diesel culture, and they were ready to put it on display for the world. They launched Diesel Power Gear, selling apparel that felt like it belonged to their lifestyle. Gritty, bold, and unapologetically loud. The merch funded bigger builds, the builds drew bigger crowds, and soon the cameras came calling. The Discovery Channel show Diesel Brothers took their wild projects and made them primetime entertainment. Viewers didn't just see trucks, they saw stories. Massive rigs built from the ground up, semis turned into off-road beasts, stunts that made insurance companies nervous. And at the center of it all was Heavy D, the guy who could take a crazy idea and figure out how to make it real. It wasn't long before they weren't just building for themselves. They were building for celebrities, for competitions, for giveaways that sent jaw-dropping trucks to fans across the country. Every episode upped the ante, and every social media post kept the hype alive. But TV fame and viral attention have a way of changing the game. The bigger the spotlight, the higher the stakes, and the greater the pressure to deliver something the world had never seen before. And sometimes that kind of attention brings players to the table you'd never expect. By the time Diesel Brothers was a household name in truck culture, Heavy D had already built his reputation as the guy who could turn the impossible into metal and horsepower. That's why when Ram decided to make a statement at one of the biggest street-legal drag racing events in the country, they didn't go to just any builder. They went to Heavy D, the event. Roadkill Nights in Michigan. It's where the sound of screaming engines bounces off the buildings and the smell of burning rubber hangs in the air. For Ram, it was the perfect stage to show off what their trucks could really do. For Heavy D, it was a chance to prove that his builds weren't just flashy, they could dominate on the track. Working with a factory-backed team brought a whole new level of resources and pressure. The collaboration meant every weld, every tweak, every ounce of performance had to be dialed in. This wasn't a TV stunt, this was competition-grade engineering, with the Ram brand riding on the outcome. The final product was a monster, equal parts brute force and precision tuning, and when it roared down the strip, it wasn't just showing off horsepower, it was making a statement. Heavy D's skills could stand shoulder to shoulder with the biggest names in the industry. The partnership put him on a new map. It wasn't just fans and TV audiences watching, it was corporate execs, other manufacturers, and serious gearheads who suddenly saw him as more than just an entertainer. But here's the thing about getting bigger. It doesn't just attract partners, it attracts problems. And sometimes those problems come wearing expensive suits and carrying legal papers. And that's exactly what happened next. The Ram collaboration might have put Heavy D's skills in the spotlight, but success has a way of attracting attention you don't want. In this case, the glare came from a completely different industry, high-end fashion. The Italian clothing powerhouse Diesel SPA had been around since the late 70s, and their brand name carried serious weight. So when Diesel Power Gear, the merch arm of Heavy D's empire, started moving hats, shirts, and hoodies under a logo that the fashion Diesel thought looked a little too familiar, the lawyer stepped in. At first, it might have seemed like a small misunderstanding. After all, one company sold jeans, the other sold diesel culture. Different markets, different worlds. But trademarks don't work that way. In the eyes of the court, a name is a name, and Diesel SPA wasn't about to let anyone blur the lines. What followed was a legal battle that stretched on for years. It wasn't just about logos, it was about branding rights, market overlap, and whether Diesel Power Gear had crossed a legal line. Eventually, the gavel came down hard, an $11.8 million judgment against Heavy D's side. That's not just a fine, that's a gut punch that can rattle even a thriving business. The lawsuit didn't just cost money, it sparked a storm of headlines. Fans debated whether it was a fair fight or corporate overreach. Critics accused the Diesel brothers of pushing the envelope too far. And every social media post from Heavy D started drawing comments that weren't just about trucks anymore. The takeaway? In the Diesel game, you can build anything you want. But if your brand rubs the wrong people the wrong way, you might end up in court instead of the shop. And the legal drama was only part of the trouble brewing. The lawsuit was bad enough, but the real trouble came when public opinion started to shift. For years, Heavy D and the Diesel brothers had been internet darlings, loud, outrageous, and seemingly untouchable. But after the court ruling, cracks started to show. And once the internet smells controversy, it doesn't let go. Some fans were still ride or die, defending Heavy D against what they saw as corporate greed. Others, though, began asking harder questions. Why were giveaway trucks sometimes surrounded by rumors of delays or questionable condition? Why did some videos feel more like sales pitches than genuine content? The word clickbait started popping up in comment sections like wildfire. Even the content itself came under fire. Critics claimed the over-the-top builds were more about views than quality. Some said the bro persona that once felt fun and relatable was starting to feel calculated. And it wasn't just random trolls saying it. Longtime followers admitted they were starting to lose trust. Things escalated when Heavy D announced a massive yard sale of equipment and parts, only to postpone it at the last minute with a cryptic explanation about people who want us to fail. That one line sent speculation into overdrive. Was it a jab at the lawsuit? Haters? Former business partners? Heavy D never clarified, and the mystery just fueled more chatter. For someone who built a brand on being open and in your face, the sudden vagueness left people uneasy. And in the online world, once doubt creeps in, it spreads fast. Still, Heavy D wasn't out of moves. For all this criticism, his fan base was still massive, his network deep, and his appetite for building bigger than ever. And that's where the rumors about what's next start to get interesting. For all the drama, one thing about Heavy D hasn't changed. He's always planning the next big thing. But lately, those plans have been shrouded in secrecy, with just enough hints dropped online to keep fans guessing. After the yard sale fiasco, whispers started spreading in Diesel circles. Some claim he's working on a secret build that could be his most ambitious project yet, something meant to silence critics and remind everyone why they watched him in the first place. Others think he's eyeing a completely new venture, possibly outside of trucks altogether, a pivot that could reshape his public image. The speculation gets wilder the deeper you go. There's talk of new TV deals, partnerships with major automotive brands, and even rumors that he's lining up collaborations with unexpected players far outside the Diesel world. Heavy D hasn't confirmed anything. He's been posting just enough cryptic content to keep the fire burning. But here's the flip side. Every mysterious post, every tease, comes with the risk of overpromising. Some fans have grown impatient, tired of the wait-and-see game. Others are convinced he's playing the long game, knowing that when he finally drops whatever's next, the internet will go wild. Behind the rumors is a real question. Can Heavy D rebuild trust while still chasing the over-the-top, headline-making stunts that made him famous? In a world where one wrong move can tank a brand overnight, the stakes have never been higher. What's clear is that Heavy D isn't stepping away from the spotlight. If anything, he's just changing the angle of the lights and making sure everyone's still watching. And when the next chapter finally drops, it could be the comeback of the decade or the loudest crash we've ever seen. Heavy D's story isn't just about trucks, it's about ambition, risk, and the price of chasing something bigger than yourself. From a small garage in Utah to national TV and multi-million-dollar partnerships, his ride has been anything but smooth. The controversies, the wins, the rumors, they're all part of a journey that's still unfolding. And if the whispers about his next move are true, we might be on the edge of his biggest chapter yet. You won't want to miss it. So hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and buckle up, because this ride is far from over.